And then we want to make a series of boathouses. So we'll put a boathouse right here like this. I want it to be just right along the edge of the water, and then we'll clear that out and fill that up with water. Let's copy and paste and put another one in right here. And I maybe want to consider adding in some kind of bridge as well. Why don't I move that out of the way? Move this over to here, and then we can make a bridge to connect both sides. So right here, there'd be a bridge that kind of goes across, and then we'll put a windmill right over here, or not a windmill, a watermill like right there. That looks good. And then we have a boathouse right here. Copy and paste. We can put another boathouse right there like this. Actually, let's not put it next to the watermill. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Okay, let's move this one a little bit over to here. It's okay if some of it's off screen as long as the interior part isn't off screen. So that looks good. And then the bridge will go across like this. So I should be able to put a boathouse right here or right here. Let's put one at this angle like this. And then I can move this over a little bit this way. There we go. That looks good. Okay. That looks good. Right there looks good. Boathouse, boathouse. I think that looks good. Another one right here. This looks good. Okay. Then I should go into that terrain, and I want to use portals to remove underneath. So I can do that, or you can just use a clip mask, up to you. But I think what I'll do is I'll just remove those sections. So I'll go over to here, take this right here, and I can kind of just remove those cliff sections inside of there. Same thing here. Remove this cliff section right here. Same thing here. I'll remove this cliff section. There we go. Okay. And then I can take the subtract mode of that mask tool and then just kind of empty out these like this. So empty this out. We're making good time, getting things done. There we go. And now I have a boathouse that's kind of flooded with water. That looks good. Okay, let's continue adding a couple more things to the buildings. I probably should have done this in the beginning, but it's okay. Let's go ahead and take these wooden walls right here. I'm going to put them up at the highest layer. And you'll notice that there is this problem in the corners when you're kind of making a shape, right? And there's this curve option that you can do. But what I like to do is just take these kind of posts. I'm not sure what this is, like a column of some kind, and just put them in each corner. And what this kind of does is it kind of represents like a post or a pillar that's holding up the walls. And I'll put these on every single one, pretty much. I'll put it in this corner here, on every single one of these. And then I'll probably add more later, depending on how the interior decorating goes. So I'll put that one there. Every single one of these will go on here. And in fact, I'll turn off my grid for now so that way it's not getting in the way. That one's done. Let's go down here and do another one. Put it in this corner, rotate it. The reason why I should have done this a little bit earlier is so that I don't have to continue rotating all of these. If you had put these on in the beginning, like I should have done, then you wouldn't have to do all this rotating of stamps, but it happens. So sometimes you just get lost in what you're doing and you miss a step in the process and you have to do it later. It just happens. Ooh, I'm kind of seeing some spots too that I missed. So right here, fill that up with water. And I see I went over there a little bit. That looks good. Okay. Same thing over here. I'll add these to each corner. It serves two purposes. One, you would kind of expect a post in the corner to like hold the walls together. You would have more along the wall, but for now this is a good start. But it also just kind of, again, hides those inconsistencies in the corner, which look a little odd. I'll copy and paste. There's another part that I missed too that I should have done in the beginning, creating the doorways. But it's okay, it happens. I'll show you some cool tricks if you kind of accidentally started doing a bunch of stuff and then it's a little bit harder to navigate and find things in the catalog. I'll show you some cool tricks on how to deal with that. Let's go ahead and add this piece here. Copy, paste. There we go. Okay. All right. So when it's 45 objects isn't a whole lot, so that's not really a big deal. But something that I find very helpful when I want to be able to like only select shapes and stuff. If you go up right here with the selection tool, that's that little arrow, it's the V key. If you go click all, like this, and it'll turn selection off for everything. Notice how there's nothing in the object, the right panel there with the objects. If I go over here to shape like this, it'll show all the shapes that are already there. So that'll make it easier for me to do things. I can go over to shape and then go over to portals. If you're not familiar with how the portals work, the portal will be the same size as what the grid is set to. So that's going to be very helpful. So in most doorways in a D&D game or a tabletop game, they're 5 feet, right? So that kind of makes sense. So I'll go ahead and just select each one, and I'll turn snap to grid on. That should make it a little bit easier for me to kind of put things together. So let's put the door on this side right here. I'll put them on both. Oopsie, for some reason snap is going somewhere else. So there we go, like that, that one. We need to put 2 doors here. Let's have one door that opens up into the water here. We'll make it nice and wide so boats can fit in there. And then we need a land access. So we'll put a door. Let's move this actually over to this side. And in fact, one thing that might be helpful is to actually put the boat in so that we have a sense of scale when I'm working on this. So I'll show that grid. Go over here and put a boat down real quick. Perfect. There we go. Way too big. That right there is about 11 feet. That's a pretty long boat. So now I have a good idea of the scale. So now I have a boat there. That's great. And then we'll continue. We'll fix any of these little mistakes there in just a moment. Let's just continue adding in our doors that open up to let the boat get in. A door from the land access right there. Let's also put a door here. One there. Let's put a door here on this side. A door there. We need a door for the boat. And we need an entrance for the land. There we go. Oh, here we go. Let's do this one as well. Let's see here. It's a little off to the side. Let's put the entrance maybe like right there. On that one. And then I think all the entrances are done. Yep, boathouses. Yep, they're good. Okay. All right, so the next step, for me at least, is I like to create what's called the threshold. The threshold is basically that wooden part of the door frame that you step over, right? You'll notice that the doors, there's usually some kind of little lip that you have to step over on a door. Sometimes it's very subtle and sometimes it's higher up, but that's called a threshold. And adding in the threshold will make it look a little bit more realistic. I'll just use that exact same wood stroke that I used, but this time I'll make it a little bit darker to use contrast to represent that it's downward. So first thing I'll do is I'll bring brightness down, and then I'll also turn off shadows because the threshold shouldn't have any shadows. And then I'm just going to go across like this. You can turn caps off if you want, and then bring this down a layer. And then you have, again, what's called the threshold. That's the little part of the door that you walk over. So what I'll do is I'll select paths or lines only, and I'll just copy and paste that and just place that threshold at the entrance of every door. I don't remember. Maybe I should look that up. It's a good question. Let's go ahead and put that threshold. That's a good question, by the way. I think you can with snap to grid, as long as the grid is square. If the grid is hex or isometric, I don't think it will. But as long as it's square, you should be able to do that. Let's continue adding these thresholds. Every single one of these needs a threshold. There we go. And you're going to do the thresholds on every single room that you have internal inside rooms or inner walls. You're going to also put thresholds on there. Every single one of them should have a threshold. Just looks more realistic, right? Let's go ahead and throw that on there. There we go. Another threshold for that door. Great. So all the thresholds are there. Also, you don't have to have a threshold. Sometimes you can throw in some stairs, which we might end up doing. But you should know about thresholds. They're helpful. Let's turn that grid off. We'll take a step back so you can kind of look at it. There's our boathouses. We have that. It looks good. We can even make some smaller outbuildings, like maybe a shed of some kind. We can throw those in there. That's good. We're at 208 changes. Let's save it. Yes, love using stairs as thresholds. In fact, using stairs in general, going from room to room, is actually just helpful. It creates this sense of depth. It doesn't make your buildings look super flat. So let's do that real quick so you can see it, as well as fixing this little mistake right here. Let's go ahead and subtract. We'll fill that up there. There we go. That looks good. Oop, I see a little bit of that cliff right there sticking out. There we go. Yeah, let's put some docks in real quick. Let's put docks in real quick. We'll type in dock. Now, this is an interior. This is inside. So we probably want to make things that are in the inside a little bit darker. And what we can do with the dock is we can do a couple options. We can have the dock go on the side like this. Here's option 1. We can put a little dock here on the side going like this, and then you would access the boat like this. There's one option. That might be the easiest because it might be easier for a boat to go in this way than to have it go in like this if the dock is on the other side like this. So we can utilize our space a little bit by putting it like this across the side. And in fact, the door looks a little off. Why don't we fix that as well? Let's move the door all the way to here. There we go. And that should make it match with the little dock. It's inside, so why don't we bring the brightness down? There we go. Same thing with this. We'll bring the brightness down. There we go. And then I can take this dock piece and just kind of put it wherever I want, right? Let's put another one like right there. That looks good. That makes sense. We'll put another dock. Same thing right here on this one, like that. The shadows are a little thick. We'll fix those in just a moment. Copy, paste. Any more boathouses? No. Okay, that looks good. Cool. And then I'll just take a boat, and then to make sure that it works, I'll put one in each little boathouse. There we go. And then we can do those stairs. First, I'll kind of just take the shadow on this and just kind of bring it down a little bit. It's a little thick, so we'll bring the intensity down.